Cynthia Rothrock, the queen of martial arts, is an absolute legend who lit up our screens with her amazing talent, speed, and undeniable strength and beauty. I recently reached out to Miss Cynthia and she graciously agreed to join us and answer a few questions. Super excited, so let's do it. Cynthia, thank you so much for being here. Again, it's an honor. You are truly an icon, actress, martial artist. You have inspired me so much over the years. Just a real quick confession right before my question. My introduction to you was back in the 90s. I mean, you intimidated me because I would pick up and look at all the VHS covers and, read the synopsis and everything. And I was like, wow, who is this amazing, strong looking woman? But because I was so young and naive and closed-minded, I was like, but martial arts, I was like, no way, that's impossible. I mean, they gotta be, there's just no way. For me, martial arts was Bruce Lee, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Chuck Norris. It wasn't until I saw Rumble in the Bronx with Jackie Chan in 1995, and that was the first time I had ever seen the Hong Kong type choreography, the extended back and forth. It was so beautiful. I was so mesmerized. Everything was just so smooth, but still so very powerful. I was so inspired, and that night I literally went back to the video store to pick up a few random movies, and martial arts movies, and one of which was Righting Wrongs, and that was the first time I ever saw you on screen doing what you do. And your timing, Cynthia, your precision, the actual contact, your overall presence, it's amazing. So my first question, as an action star in that time, did you feel or sense what was happening? That you were already breaking barriers as a female leading martial artist in such a male-dominated space or genre?
Well, I didn't know movie-wise I was breaking barriers, but I knew in the martial art world I was, because when I started, martial arts, it was like a fallacy. Like you said, you didn't, see women, doing this kind of fighting, that it was like a man's sport. So I broke barriers, telling people, yes, you can be a woman, you can fight. It's not about size, it's about technique, broke barrier as being the first woman on the cover of Karate Illustrated magazine. I saw Hong Kong movies because I used to study Ying Jiao Pai with Shum Leong in New York City. And after class, he would take us to Chinatown, and that's where I became familiar with the Hong Kong movies, right? So I really just saw a couple of them. I didn't really know, were there women in there, were there not, and I was just looking at it like, wow, this is an extreme adventure in my life, going to Hong Kong, and I'm envisioning entering the Dragon, going into Hong Kong. Yeah. I had no idea what to expect, and I just thought this is going to be fun, a new adventure. I thought I'd do one and then that would be it, so I didn't know it was going to go into like a lifetime career for me.
That's so awesome. You are a real life superhero. You're a legend. You've also worked with other legends, Sammo Hung, Richard Norton. Were you ever scared or nervous having to fight men most of the time, or did you receive any special treatment? Were they nervous having to fight you, as a woman?
No, it didn't, because, there weren't that many women in my martial arts school. And before I did Millionaires Express with Sammo, it's the first time I had to fight him. Well, a lot of the people were telling me, wow, he's really strong, he's really powerful, be careful. So I guess I was a little nervous about fighting Sammo, but, for how big and strong he was in such control that, the fight was great, just like any other one. So I think, no matter how big or strong you are, as long as you know how to control it, it's safe. It's when people don't really know what they're doing that you can get, hurt a lot. So, so no, I think I was kind of used to fighting with men. So it was never really something for me that I was afraid of.
You've obviously been in a lot of movies. I love them all, but the one that I find myself watching the most is Sworn to Justice. I really love the overall balance that it had. It showed a lot of range. We got to see, it showed your emotional range. You had a bit of a sensual side and a cutesy side, and of course all the action, that we love. There was some Hong Kong style choreography, but it was blended so well with everything else. I mean, it felt more personal, showcasing you both as an actress, as a martial artist. Did working on that film feel like a big shift in terms of pacing or process compared to the earlier movies?
Absolutely. Definitely a huge difference because, well, there's so many differences. Like in Hong Kong, I never had a script, so I never knew what the scene was until I got there. And that's how they shot. Sometimes they'd be writing the scene at that day while you're on set. In Millionaires Express, I shot over 36 hours of shooting with no rest, Samo would go, well, just go sit down and take a sleep, because I don't want anybody to go home. And we're in America, you had a 12-hour deadline. You only had 12 hours to shoot. It was a change for me because it went into deeper acting, working, with Brad Dourif, working with an Academy Award actor, right?
And real quick, Cynthia, what was Brad like working with him? I mean, I'm also a huge horror fan. I'm a huge Chucky fan. And, I've heard that he's obviously very intense, on camera, but I've heard that he's a really nice guy.
I loved him. I was very nervous, because here I am, like, coming from the martial art acting world to, working with one of the greatest actors of all time. And he said to me, I remember our scene was pretty intense, where I'm coming down on him in the office and he starts crying. And he goes, okay, well, let's go rehearse it, in the trailer. So we went to rehearse it, and I couldn't believe that he would cry every single take, or like it wasn't even a take, just the rehearsal, right? Because normally you save that for the camera, because if you cry so many times, it's hard to get those tears going. And I was just in awe that he would just put 100% into that rehearsal. And I remember it helped me because it pulled better acting out of me is working with him. And when we shot the scene, he came over and he gave me a kiss on the cheek and he said, that was an Oscar performance, even though it wasn't, but it made me feel good that he said that he really enjoyed, doing our scene together. So that's probably one of my most memorable acting scenes ever.
That's so awesome. I'm super jealous of you both. Both of you were excellent. I love that scene. I love that movie. It's definitely my favorite. And is there one movie that you really wanted? The time, the one where you said, you know what, that should have been me. I could have done that movie.
Yeah, actually, when La Femme Nikita first came out, you remember that one? I was like, that should have been me. And I want to do that. That should have been my role. And then I thought I should have been in The Expendables. When Stallone did the first one with the guys, I was like, you have all the guys in, and then when he did put women in, it was like,
I was disappointed when you weren't in Expendables, but I had heard that they were going to make Expendables, right, with a full female cast. Were you approached for that, or was that just rumor?
I was contacted by the writers, and they said, we love you. Can you train us for like 2 days just to give us a feel of the fighting so we could write it in the script? And they said, we actually want to name one of the characters Cynthia Rothrock, but they wanted me in it. But then again, it wasn't up to them. They were just the writers. It was the producers, but it was a comedy. It wasn't really a serious one. It was kind of slapsticky. So I think, I don't think they ever did it.
Going back to the actual fight scenes and choreography, which led to lots of bruises and injuries, was there one injury that impacted you the most, or was there one specific fight or sequence that you wish you could have approached differently?
No, there wasn't one that affected me the most. They all affected me pretty much the same way. I mean, I had got hit in the nose full force with a sword. I remember that was in Yes, Madam in the ending fight scene, and my nose just swole up, and Corey Yoon come over, and his sympathy was, well, your nose looks better now. That's what he said. I got choked with a chain. I got hurt when I was jumping off a 2-story building, and Lady Reporter, I had this fake baby and I had heels on. And when you jump off buildings, it's not like a nice big cushy airbag. You're jumping on a bunch of boxes with a mattress underneath it. And so it doesn't really It's not as safe as the other one. Gosh, I remember the fight scenes were so incredibly dangerous. I thought like so many times I was going to get killed on that movie. Um, but when I look at them today, I still go, wow, oh, that's amazing. And I go, oh, wait, that's me. Any one of those Hong Kong movies, they're just amazing. And it's time wise, like some of those movies took 8.5 months to shoot, so if you have a lot of time and you have the money, the budget to do that incredible stuff, that to me is, what I love doing.
There were a lot of intense moments. I love that movie as well. Again, Cynthia, your timing, your precision, your technique overall, it's just so sharp and flawless. Whether you're fighting a man or a woman, a stunt, there's nothing average about what you do and the way you strike. It's on a whole other level. You truly have a gift. Movies do take a long time. I mean, the long hours, your training, your food, everything that goes into your art. But what was life like off camera? Were you able to have, a normal life? Relationships, kids, recovery, breathing? Were you, what was it like balancing everything?
Yeah, I'd say it was. My life changed as, as I did more movies, especially I would say 99 when I had my daughter.
Okay.
So that kind of changed. I took some time off. I took about like 9 years off because a lot of my movies were filmed outside the country, and I didn't want to leave my daughter, so that was a big change. But then once I started up again, doing a lot of movies, also, being mom, teaching seminars around the world, traveling, because that's one of the things I love to do, doing extreme adventure. I was able to handle all of that, I think, pretty well. And
That's
having five
amazing.
dogs at the time, taking care of my
Five,
dog.
oh wow, 5 dogs. So you're
Yeah,
an
so
animal lover.
I have a lot of energy, and I'm a nonstop person. I'm constantly like doing something. So for me, I think I managed that pretty well.
Well, that's what makes you a legend. You're obviously still kicking booty today. I do follow you on social media. I love seeing all your photos and updates. You look amazing. And has your training and diet changed much over the years, or is it just easy and normal because you've been training? You've been doing this your whole life.
I've always been into exercise, even when I went to college for art for a while. And when I came back, I started teaching martial arts, and I also was working at a health club. So I've always been into fitness. So I've never stopped exercising my whole life. My diet is pretty good in general. And I think, I've always hiked. I've always done aerobic classes. I still do. Actually, this morning I went and did a Pilates class. So I just love exercise. It's part of my life, whether, it's doing martial arts or doing something else. And I think, a lot of people don't like to do it. And that's why they stop, because number one, it's hard. Number two, they're in pain, and you have to work through all that, and you have to change your mindset, to love it. Like sometimes, like I get up early and I go, oh, I don't want to go do that class now. But you have to mentally do it, and I think that helps keep you young. It helps keep you fit, healthy. Whatever form of exercise you do, is you just got to learn to love it and look forward to doing it. And for me, the best thing is to do it in the morning, and I kind of get it out of the way so I know I've done it. So I try to do something like every day. My other passion is scuba diving. I set goals for myself, but I make them happen. So I'm not like, oh, this is a goal and maybe someday it'll happen. I will make it happen. So I want to dive like so many different countries, like in the world, preferably warm water. And one of the things that has been on my, I guess that you'd call it a bucket list. That's kind of a weird thing for me, but things you want to do, but you have to do them, is walk the Camino de Santiago, which I am going to do this year. And it's about 36 days of 15 to 20 miles walk every day. So it's
Wow. Okay.
pretty intense, but it's like a spiritual journey. And it's also a challenge, to get up every single day. And, you're not staying in the greatest accommodations, but I love that. So I guess what people don't know is I love to do things that's off the beaten track.
That is insane. You do it all, Miss Cynthia. That Thank you so much. This has been such an inspirational experience. Again, truly a dream come true. I do have one last question. You've got a new movie coming out called Black Creek. It's the ultimate passion project. The trailer's already up. I've seen it like 100 times. I'm so excited to see you and Richard Norton together again on screen, doing what you do. We're all excited and ready. Final question, can you give us any update?
Yes, well, Black Creek has always been my dream. I've done over 70 movies, and I've always been just a hired actor. It's always been my dream to do my own movie, to create my own character, to cast who I want to cast in it, to make sure all the fights are good. That like in Black Creek, you will not see one miss. I mean, I strategically went through scene by scene to make sure there was no misses in there and everybody looked the best. And it was great to fight Richard. Obviously, he's the main villain, so we have the climactic fight like in the end. Funny, it was one of the most brutal, toughest fights we did, but neither one of us got hurt. And Richard comes from, from working with me. We hit each other hard. It's so exciting. And then Don Wilson is in it. And it's funny because Don said to me the other day, he said, Cynthia, I've done over 40 movies and nobody's ever commented how good my acting was until Black Creek. Benny Urquidez is in it, Keith Vitale, Marcus Taylor, so many of my friends. And I think that's why I was able to make this movie in this short a time, because we all pulled together and did our best, to make the best movie possible, what we could.
Wow.
So right now, we are deciding on our distribution company. We've been very blessed. We've had like about 7 different ones that want to distribute it. So we're going to decide that actually tomorrow, who we're going with, and they foresee that it should be available for people to see somewhere between April to July. And I think it's going to be a shock because it's dark, it's gritty, and I kind of based it, I've always wanted to do a Western, and I based it kind of on Yellowstone. How that, just the feel of that was, and that's how I wanted this. So I think a lot of people are gonna be shocked, but the characters in it are so amazing. They're gonna love the characters. So
Thank you again, Miss Cynthia. I really appreciate it, and Happy New Year to you and your family. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for believing. This is our first official interview for 2025. I truly hope you enjoyed it. Lots and lots of new videos coming your way, so stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for believing, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.